like to share a quote with you. And I quote President George H.W. Bush during a tour of Auschwitz in 1989, where George H.W. Bush remarked, and I quote, "Boy, they were big on crematoriums, weren't they?" End quote. Given the breadth and depth of the occult script underlying 9/11 and the amount of time, energy, and resources that it took to pull the entire production off, the question logically comes to mind, my God, just how old is the 9/11 conspiracy? How far back does it extend? Perhaps 30 years? Former U.S. Senator and 9/11 Commission member Bob Kerrey has stated in an online interview that 9/11 is a 30-year-old conspiracy. Kerrey states, "The problem is it's a 30-year-old conspiracy." And the interviewer goes, "No, I'm talking about 9/11. And Kerrey says, "That's what I'm talking about." And although that notion may come as a surprise to some, hopefully none of you viewing this video presentation, Kerrey may actually be off only by a millennia or two. Michael Hoffman informs us that the process of hermetic cryptocracy is not stagnant. It is engaged in a remarkable project set into motion millennia ago, an operation which has accomplished most, if not all, of its chief goals with masterful dispatch. Synchro-mystic blogger Mark Leclerc expands on this point, writing, "Any open-minded meditation upon September 11, 2001 floods the mind with at first incomprehensible riddles. The brave seek answers and begin to connect the dots. A shape begins to appear. The seeker can stop with a complete hypothesis. Evil men, shadow men, bankers, and oilmen, a secret one-world power. Some seekers go deeper into the woods. Satanic goofball cultists and their midnight rituals. Nazi connections. The Fourth Reich steps out from behind the American flag. Not satisfied? A few scrabble onward, and at least rudimentary knowledge of occult technology is a must-have. Occult science is that of metaphor, and the big truth of 9/11 is that it is a hierophantic event planned for 2,000 years by the priests of On and Tibet, and altogether inevitable. Beyond this third degree, aspirants court the abyss itself, gaze into the yawning yaw of Yahweh, and cry out, "More light!" Whether the truth is a conspiracy that's decades old, or centuries old, or millennia old, the reality is one that blows to smithereens the notion of 9/11 being merely an inside job by the Bush administration. The 11-year countdown to 9/11. It should then come as no surprise that there would have been a countdown to 9/11, an 11-year countdown, as you might have guessed, which was initiated by none other than President George H.W. Bush in an address to a joint session of Congress on September 11, 1990, in which he referenced the New World Order that 9/11 would be highly instrumental in bringing about. We stand today at a unique and extraordinary moment. The crisis in the Persian Gulf, as grave as it is, also offers a rare opportunity to move toward an historic period of cooperation. Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, New World Order, can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror, stronger in the pursuit of justice, and more secure in the quest for peace. An era in which the nations of the world, East and West, North and South, can prosper and live in harmony. 100 generations have searched for this elusive path to peace, while 1,000 wars raged across the span of human endeavor. Today, that new world is struggling to be born, a world quite different from the one we've known. And that was a quote that I shared that George H.W. Bush made September 11th, 1990. End quote. George Sr. announces, and 11 years later to the day, George Jr. presides. Another episode of our All in the Family Bush special. An 11-year countdown to the end of the age. September 11th, 2001 not only marked the culmination of one 11-year countdown, but also marked the initiation of a second 11-year countdown to one of the most significant dates on the occult calendar and one of the most auspicious dates in human history, December 21st, 2012. This date marks the end of the current age and the beginning of a new age, a perfect date on which to bring into full view their new world order. They have been constructing the foundations of this new order for decades, centuries, millennia, and 12/21/2012 is the end of the age. There could be no better time than 2000 plus 13 to fully implement their new order of the ages. Thus, we go one level deeper still with the destruction of the pillars of Hermes, Thoth, on Tut 1, invoking Thoth as the Lord of time and initiating an 11-year countdown to the end of time. Or maybe not. So this is where I break character as the reader. And I'll end this little segment of this presentation with my input regarding the significance of December 21st, 2021. Of course, here we are in July 10th of 2022. That book that I've been reading from, The Most Dangerous Book, 9/11 as an Occult Mega Ritual by S.K. Baines, was written in 2011. So it is my contention, based upon many diverse sources of input, intuitive input, and whatnot, but chiefly from one Alabar Jones, Astral Warrior. Look up, I'll leave his information here in this video content. But Alabar Jones is an astral warrior, and according to his reports, him and his team, Alabar Jones and his team, they've been fighting on behalf of humanity in the astral realms, cleaning up the planet, seeing the reptilians and the dark cabal and their off-world ET contacts and the negative ET faction that basically was the occult power behind these workings. Essentially, the Illuminati, the deep state cabal. I mean, this, their power in the occult are beyond the lower astral, fourth astral dimension, which doesn't rise too far above that, because the negative ET factions are not working with source. In fact, quite the opposite. So their dimensional capability doesn't go but beyond perhaps fifth, maybe sixth dimension at the highest. Because to be beyond those dimensions, at least I would say seventh dimension. I don't, unless you're talking about some of the major players, you know, I'm not an expert, but beyond the sixth dimension, you're in the Christed extraterrestrial realm, the higher dimensional Pleiadians, the Andromedians, the Christed extraterrestrials, the ones who get it, who've been getting it, who've been in observance of universal law, the Galactic Codex. So based on what Alabar Jones has reported from the Galactic Federation of Light, the white hats, the power behind what's been moving and shaking behind the scenes since, you know, probably for millennia we've had help, but certainly within the last couple of years here, I would say that the end of all that for sure took place at least by 2020, around November, and without a shadow of a doubt was cleaned up December 21st, 2021. So I present these videos, you know, kind of maybe to jog some people that are a little bit conflicted about the nature of reality. You know, this 9/11 occult mega ritual material, but it's not to present it in a doom and gloom sort of fashion, because we've kind of gone past all of that, transcended all of that, and it's clear sailing for those who are awakened, who aren't kind of still lost in the lamestream mockingbird media, and are open, have opened their galactic channels, have ascended, however you want to describe it, and are an open conduit to source. And the information, once that conduit is open within your own divine human matrix, the information, the vectors of information, if you will, the avenues that information flows come from everywhere, and you'll ascertain, you'll discern the truth of which I'm speaking about. So no doom and gloom here. The main thing is to empower yourselves to recognize that you are divine, that there is an aspect, your soul is a fractal, is a God particle, is a fractal of source. We have been divinely created in the image of our prime creator, the divine grid programmer. So yeah, it's, you know, this information is not meant to stir up anyone's emotions or any kind of feelings of, you know, some kind of revenge for these perpetrators. It's kind of, you know, it's just the kind of history that we've gone through as a collective, as a human collective. And now we're on the precipice, if not the actual fifth dimension, this dawning of the golden age. You know, and that's where we're at, folks. It's just, you know, can't make it any more clear than that. But check out Alabar Jones, and make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Namaste, namaskaram.